A mild, white light burst forth from the light array, enveloping the seductive woman. While this white light was gentle, it clearly dealt tremendous harm to the alien demon. It shot through her slender figure, forcing out thin wisps of black vapor from her body. Ah! Echoes of her blood-curdling scream reverberated through the chamber, but Lin Dong remained resolute. With a flick of his mind, the speed of the array's rotation increased, growing ever more rapid. I will not accept this. If we only needed a bit more flesh, we could have reconstructed our bodies. The seductive woman wailed, her voice filled with rage and despair. Over the millennia, they had finally glimpsed a beacon of hope, only for it to be ruthlessly crushed. Now that you are dead, cease your mischief, dissipate into the world, and let us be. Lin Dong's gaze was cold as he ignored her tormented shriek. Through his pitch-black eyes flashed a sharp determination. Suddenly, the white beam rapidly condensed and narrowed, shrinking to the width of 2 fingers. It then transformed into a white light spike, zinging through the seductive woman's head and piercing her body. There was no blood, only wretched wisps of black vapor that circulated out of her body. They dissipated instantly, evaporating into nothingness. A faint cracking sound emanated from within her. It was as if something inside the seductive woman was shattering. Aha! Her frantic scream gradually faded away. The seductive woman's eyes slowly closed, and the demonic aura that pervaded her form dissipated completely. Lin Dong gazed at the unconscious seductive woman floating mid-air. With a flick of his wrist, the ancestral stone returned to his hand, disappearing in a flash. Lord Lin Dong, how did it go? Heart Serenity, observing nearby, asked anxiously. Lin Dong kept a close watch on the seductive woman. The thunder and black glow that circled above her did not dissipate. Though the ancestral stone had the power to purify the toxic alien demon chi, no one knew if the mind of the alien demon king had been completely erased within her. For several minutes, Lin Dong's attention was unwavering. Then, light suddenly surged from the woman's body, yet it was no longer exuding an aura of evil. Instead, it was a soft, pink glow. The pink light diffused across her closed eyelids as they slowly wreathed open. Then, she turned and flashed a dazzling smile at Lin Dong, a glow of astonishing sensuality. A 9-tailed spirit fox? Lin Dong stared at the woman, now awake, with raised eyebrows. His impression of her had been transformed. I have finally shaken off the suppression. The seductive woman examined her slinky, slender fingers. Her eyes danced with a complex blend of emotions. She looked at Lin Dong before nodding gently. Young friend, thank you. Though her consciousness was held captive, she had been astutely aware of the outside world. Lin Dong let out a breath of relief. If the 9-tailed spirit fox's mind had been erased, Heart Serenity's visit to the ancestral soul temple would have been in vain. Ancestor? Heart Serenity glanced at the 9-tailed spirit fox, with a red tint to her eyes. The quivering aura within her stirred a deep sense of reliance. My kin. In midair, the 9-tailed spirit fox floated down gently. Her eyes were filled with gentleness and remorse as she gazed at Heart Serenity. Then, extending her arms, she drew her close, speaking softly into her hair. It's your ancestors' fault. I'm sorry. Do you know what's been happening here? Lin Dong interjected. A shadow crossed the 9-tailed spirit fox's eyes. She nodded slightly. Back then, I burned my demon spirit essence to suppress the 3 major alien demon kings, intending to end it all in a final blaze. But I underestimated their tenacity to survive. Although our bodies were corroded through time, their consciousnesses interwove and ensnared each other. Eventually, they invaded and suppressed my own mind. The 9-tails clan's mediocrity over all these years, it should indeed be linked to this, correct? Lin Dong frowned. The 9-tailed spirit fox nodded with a bitter smile. She stroked Heart Serenity's hair. Among the 9-tails clan, a bloodline connection exists. Those 3 villains used me as their conduit to unleash malevolent manipulations upon our kin's blood. They prevented everyone from ascending to the elevated realm. Without any alternatives, the clan turned to the ancestral soul temple. Yet my spiritual body was already occupied by those three pests. Over the years, I could do nothing more than watch as clan members came here one by one to be corrupted and deceived. The nine-tailed spirit fox's voice held a profound sorrow, a profound lamentation at seeing an inevitable outcome one is powerless to change. A torment that must have afflicted her deeply. Xianqing clenched her lips, her large eyes brimming with tears that formed and rolled within them. I know that the clan has endured great suffering these past years. That's my fault, the nine-tailed spirit fox murmured. Her soft words weighted with regret. No fault of the ancestors. The alien demons were just too vile. Xianqing shook her head, responding with a steadfast tone. Venerable lady, you uphold justice, Lin Dong echoed, his voice laced with respect. The nine-tailed spirit fox's sacrifice struck a chord of admiration within him. Justice? Ha! Such a term is too grand for a mere woman like me. When a nest tumbles, no egg survives unscathed. The Great War reshaped the worlds, leaving no one untouched. The nine-tailed spirit fox gave a faint smile. Then, her eyes traced the devouring ancestral talisman hovering above Lin Dong's head. A complicated mix of emotions flitted across her eyes as she murmured, "Besides, that fellow always did as he pleased, reckless, even to the extent of daring to breach the interdimensional rift, venturing into the alien demon realm. I only followed in his wake, in his foolish quest." Lin Dong paused, then it dawned on him. The devouring lord she referred to. A fearsome figure indeed. One to dare to breach the interdimensional barriers. Venerable lady, can the Ninetails clan ever restore their glory? Lin Dong inquired, a sense of anticipation tinging his voice. With the suppression of those three gone, the barriers that held them back will fall. The nine-tailed spirit fox began, her voice soft but resolute. Her eyes turned upward to the sea of blood that stretched endlessly. This sea of blood, born of countless Ninetails clan's warriors through the ages, contains the pure essence of three alien demon kings. Friend Lin, when you emerge, please inform the current clansmen. Activate the formation I left behind, and seal the mountain utterly. I will return the energy here to the clan. A slight shock rippled through Lin Dong. The energy in this place is terrifying, and if it were to be returned to the Ninetails clan, how many mighty beings would it birth? It seemed that the resurgence of the Ninetails clan was truly within grasp. Yet amidst his surprise, Lin Dong's lips curved into a smile. He gazed down at Xianqing, tenderness in his eyes. From now on, you won't need to seek shelter under anyone else's shadow. He understood. When the Ninetails clan emerged from the mountain seal, these mighty beings who dominated the bestial domain would rise, their status unassailable. They would no longer have to fear plots or malice. Lord Lin Dong, you are the benefactor of the Ninetails clan. Even should our clan's glory be restored, we will assist you as the ancestors did for that lord of the devouring ancestral talisman. Xianqing's gaze never left Lin Dong's countenance. A mysterious light flickered within her eyes before she suddenly turned. Her hands touched her forehead, and three fluffy tails settled on her back, forming the shape of a small fox in reverence. She gently bowed toward Lin Dong, the reverential shadow of a fox. The nine-tailed spirit fox, at the sight of Xianqing's posture, displayed a fleeting look of surprise before a depth of curious consideration passed over her eyes at the sight of Lin Dong. Her mouth fluttered, as if contemplating words, but ultimately, she fell silent. She did not reveal the secret to Lin Dong, that this posture was the ultimate form of homage in the Ninetails clan, a right reserved solely for the clan leader and the heir to the title, symbolizing the entirety of the Ninetails clan. For generations, this feast of homage had appeared only a handful of times. Once, it was bestowed upon the devouring lord. And here it was again, in front of the very eyes of Lin Dong. The devouring lord, the devouring ancestral talisman. The nine-tailed spirit fox sighed in her heart, a wistful smile curling her lips. It seemed the Ninetails clan had an incessant connection, a deep-seated debt to these forces that endured the ravages of time. Lin Dong knew not the hidden meanings behind this gesture, So he remained unassuming, crouching before her and running his hands softly over Xinqing's head. "This little one has the makings of an exceptional being," the nine-tailed spirit fox said, watching the child with a gentle smile. "Would you like to accept my inheritance?" Drawing close to Xinqing, she whispered words only the two could hear. "You can only pursue your heart's desires when you grow into your strength." Xinqing's cheeks flushed pink, yet she shook her head gently, defying the surprised gaze of the nine-tailed spirit fox. "I'm just a little one, but I need the ancestors' guidance. I wish to be a benefactor to the devouring lord, just as the ancestors were." The nine-tailed spirit foxes chortled once more, recognizing the familiar scene that played out before her. The two spoke in whispers, but Lin Dong did not possess a prying nature, so he remained a passive observer, casting innocent glances now and then toward the nine-tailed spirit fox. She gazed back with an unspoken weight in her eyes, and Lin Dong let out a dry laugh, pondering if she saw him as the devouring lord. "Stay here and receive my inheritance." The nine-tailed spirit fox arose gracefully, uttering with regal poise. "It may take a bit of time, and though the process will be painful, I'm certain you can endure." Xinqing nodded her head, her eyes reflecting firm determination. The nine-tailed spirit fox turned to the vast, sprawling expanse of the bones. With a wave of her jade hand, the massive structure dissolved into liquid, forming a pool of dark, thick red fluid. "Enter." Xinqing nodded, gracefully rising to her feet. With a glimpse to Lin Dong, an enchanting smile bloomed on her face, beautiful and heart-stirring. "Lord Lin Dong, when we meet again, Xinqing will no longer be a burden to you." "Let's hope you don't find me a burden then," Lin Dong chuckled. He was unsure of Xinqing's strength after she accepted the legacy, but it was bound to far exceed the ordinary levels. Xinqing covered her mouth with a gentle smile. Then, without any hesitation, she looked up to the bone pool, took a deep breath, and dived in. The splash echoed, and all was still again. Gazing at the bone pool, Lin Dong could sense the terrifying energies coagulating within, as if nurturing something wondrous. "Finally got it settled, then?" Lin Dong stretched, relief evident in his movements, as he addressed the issue that was nagging at him. "You're Lin Dong, right?" The nine-tailed spirit fox beamed at Lin Dong and finally spoke. "Ma'am." Lin Dong nodded. The nine-tailed spirit fox pondered, then said, "Would you like to inherit the legacy of the devouring lord?" Lin Dong was struck speechless for a moment. The devouring lord, a powerhouse whose legacy could easily sway the fates of many. His breathing paused, pupils slightly widening before returning to their normalcy. "Senior, what does that mean?" Lin Dong asked, striving for composure amidst his heart's turmoil. The legacy of the devouring lord attracted everyone, Lin Dong included. Didn't the devouring lord enter the reincarnation stage? Lin Dong recalled Huan, the reincarnation of the Ice Lord, who would gradually regain her teacher's powers in her new form, a privilege no outsider could claim. Mastering the reincarnation stage allowed one to predict rebirths, even after death. These apex levels of strength existed so finely woven with the fabric of the cosmos that one could reappear mysteriously. Thus, if the devouring lord had truly entered the reincarnation stage, his legacy should be untouchable to outsiders. The nine-tailed spirit fox gave a slight nod, her eyes dimming into a sorrowful silence. Then Lin Dong was startled. If even the Ice Lord had reincarnated, how could the devouring lord not? The great ancient war ended with the supreme ancestral talisman's lord burning his cycle to seal the dimensional rift and forcing the alien demons to retreat. But at a dreadful cost, she recounted. The supreme ancestral talisman's lord perished, and the 8 great masters each were gravely injured. Before his demise, he mustered his last energy to send the Ice Lord into reincarnation. However, his remaining strength was insufficient to protect the others through reincarnation. In truth, the supreme ancestral talisman's lord could have manchang, meaning just about managed to send the other 7 great masters into reincarnation. But then, the Ice Lord's reincarnation would lack protection and run the risk of severe complications. As the supreme ancestral talisman's lord's top disciple, and the most outstanding among them, even the proud devouring lord conceded. Moreover, the supreme ancestral talisman's lord sincerely believed that the Ice Lord alone had the potential to reach his level among the 8 great masters. You should know that even though we won the Great War, it didn't mean peace. The alien demon race yearns for our world, so we must have a second supreme ancestral talisman's lord by the next Great War. Lin Dong's palm clenched. So, the next supreme ancestral talisman's lord would be Eng, the Ice Lord? Recalling the slender girl with her long jet-black hair and her tender, bright smile, Lin Dong felt a mix of emotions. It was hard to fathom how she would remain the same girl who once sat quietly and played the zither for him. Would she truly remain the Eng that he once knew when that day came? Would the green hill, the stone, the girl, and the Gujing fade away as well? Still, protecting the Ice Lord was a joint decision of the other 7 great masters. They bore no resentment over the supreme ancestral talisman's lord's decision, the 9-tailed spirit fox assured him, seeing him somewhat stunned. Then what happened to the final 7 great masters? Lin Dong asked. In the mysterious magma chamber in that chaos demon sea, he had encountered the sleeping domain of the Flame Lord. The faint traces of life he sensed in the red coffin adrift in the molten river suggested that the Flame Lord had yet to succumb to his injuries fully. Similarly, the primordial wilderness tower hid the Lord of the primordial wilderness. While Lin Dong did not know his precise condition, it didn't seem as grim as it could have been. The 9-tailed spirit fox's hand slowly clenched. A hint of bitterness graced her lips. In the hierarchy of the 8 great masters, the devouring lord ranked second, his prowess only matched by the Ice Lord. At the war's end, his wounds were hardly less severe than those of the Ice Lord, and he was but a step away from dispersing his essence spirit. Had he chosen the reincarnation stage then, he perhaps could have eked out a sliver of survival from it. Lin Dong remained silent, a sense of admiration welling up within him. The 9-tailed spirit fox looked at Lin Dong and softly said, "Therefore, the devouring lord, who never entered the reincarnation stage, will now completely dissipate into the heavens and earth, truly falling into oblivion." Lin Dong gazed at the sorrowful-looking 9-tailed spirit fox, unsure of what to say. That guy always liked it this way. I've gotten used to it. Now, in a way, I am accompanying him in his disappearance from this world. So there's no need to mourn. The 9-tailed spirit fox smiled. She looked at Lin Dong. You are the current wielder of the devouring ancestral talisman. If you can obtain his legacy, it would be like continuing the name of the devouring lord. Lin Dong nodded, saying, the devouring lord's legacy isn't here, right? Of course not. Do you think such a thing would be that easy? The 9-tailed spirit fox rolled her eyes at Lin Dong before saying, I can only give you some clues, but whether you can obtain the legacy depends on your abilities. Lin Dong awkwardly smiled, having just asked out of curiosity with no real expectations. He ultimately passed away in the devouring deity temple, so if you want to obtain his legacy, you need to find the devouring deity temple, which is located within the demon realm, the 9-tailed spirit fox explained. The demon realm is vast. Finding the devouring deity temple there wouldn't be easy. The devouring deity temple is hidden within space and constantly drifts about, so its location is highly unpredictable. It's impossible for me to give you its exact location. However, that piece of space occasionally reveals itself, and with the devouring ancestral talisman, you'll likely be the first to sense it. Nevertheless, that guy was rebellious and had lofty ambitions. Obtaining his legacy won't be easy, even with the devouring ancestral talisman, she added. Lin Dong grinned. I'm confident in myself. The 9-tailed spirit fox was momentarily stunned, then smiled at Lin Dong. Your arrogance is very similar to his. He always challenged the Ice Lord, persisting for 100 years, but never managed to defeat her, eventually giving up in humiliation. Lin Dong couldn't help but whistle, impressed by the Ice Lord's strength. Thinking about this power being bestowed upon Eng Huan filled him with immense pressure. The matters concerning the devouring lord are essentially these. The information I can provide you with ends here. The nine-tailed spirit fox paused for a moment, her gaze sweeping over Lin Dong. Apart from the devouring ancestral talisman, do you have anything else related to the devouring lord on your person? Caught off guard by the question, Lin Dong thought for a moment, then waved his sleeve, revealing a broken black corpse. Are you referring to this, senior? Ah, it's the devouring heavenly corpse. The nine-tailed spirit fox stared at the black corpse, her gaze momentarily dimming. I didn't expect it to be in such a state. Lin Dong nodded. The devouring heavenly corpse was heavily damaged. When he first obtained it, it helped him, but now its effectiveness was waning despite his attempts to repair it. The intricate patterns on the corpse were too complex for him to fully repair with his current mastery of the devouring ancestral talisman. In the past, a devouring heavenly corpse was always by my side. Lin Dong wondered about the relationship between the nine-tailed spirit fox and the devouring lord, given the mysterious nature of their connection. The devouring heavenly corpse was one of the strongest protectors the devouring lord could summon, yet he protected the nine-tailed spirit fox with one, making their relationship seem extraordinary. Earlier, I gave you some clues about the devouring deity temple. Now, I'll provide you with some practical assistance. The nine-tailed spirit fox sighed, touching the devouring heavenly corpse. Can Senior repair this devouring heavenly corpse? Lin Dong exclaimed eagerly, knowing that if repaired, it would be a powerful ally. Of course not. I'm not the devouring lord, the nine-tailed spirit fox retorted, rolling her eyes at Lin Dong. But I was present when the devouring lord created this devouring heavenly corpse. Using the power of the devouring ancestral talisman, I can restore it somewhat, but it won't reach its peak condition. That final step is up to you, she explained. Even if it doesn't reach its peak, it should be enough to immobilize a revolution stage powerhouse, she added. Lin Dong's face still held a joyous expression, for if the devouring heavenly corpse could be restored to a level where it could contend with a revolution stage expert, that would prove sufficient. I shall borrow the devouring ancestral talisman for a while, said the nine-tailed spirit fox. Summoning the rotating black hole in the sky, she descended, taking a meaningful glance at the thunder ancestral talisman lingering above Lin Dong's head. You little whelp, you actually possess the thunder ancestral talisman too. But such celestial artifacts come with great responsibility. The more you accumulate, the greater the burden. With that, she ceased speaking. Her jade hand pointed, and the spinning black hole emerged anew. Black beams of light darted forth, adhering to the devouring heavenly corpse. Gradually, some broken, mystic patterns were restored and repaired within its body. Lin Dong watched silently beside, feeling that as the black rays leaped across the devouring heavenly corpse, a powerful fluctuation began to subtly emanate from it. A black maelstrom, suspended in midair, a silhouette faintly visible at its center. The black beams continuously winded through its body, repairing and rejuvenating. As the repairs continued, a more potent vibration spread outward. Near the vortex, Lin Dong sat in tranquil meditation, his gaze lowered, occasionally sweeping across the maelstrom. An earnest expression shone in his eyes. 8 days had passed since the devouring heavenly corpse began its restoration. Over these 8 days, the nine-tailed spirit fox, with the power of the devouring ancestral talisman, had gradually revived this devouring heavenly corpse from its previously extreme state of devastation. Though not restored to its peak, it was markedly superior to its former self. Senior, are you all right? Lin Dong's gaze shifted from the vortex to the ethereal figure before him. The nine-tailed spirit fox's already phantom-like body had grown eerily insubstantial. The nine-tailed spirit fox smiled faintly at Lin Dong's inquiry, her eyes never leaving the vortex. I am merely a spirit, destined to dissipate. To help you in my final moments is a way of repaying the kindness bestowed upon my Ninetails clan. Suddenly, her gaze sharpened. It's nearly complete. As she spoke, Lin Dong felt an intense vibration burst from the black hole vortex. Black light burst forth, coiling into the image of an ancient black hole talisman. Beneath the talisman, a pitch-black figure stood motionless. On the devouring heavenly corpse's body, now inscribed with ancient and cryptic symbols, though still thin, Lin Dong sensed astonishing power within its body. The devouring heavenly corpse can now tangle with the perfect completion of the death mystique stage expert. With its devouring trait, it can withstand the attacks of revolution stage experts, though defeating one would prove difficult, said the nine-tailed spirit fox as she observed the devouring heavenly corpse. She harbored some dissatisfaction that it could only be restored to this limit, unable to recover a perfect state. At her prime, she could have restored it to a defense and attack level to rival revolution stage experts, but alas, it's plentiful, Lin Dong replied with a smile. The devouring heavenly corpse's greatest attribute lay in its defense. With this, Lin Dong would have an added layer of protection when traversing the demon realm. Lin Dong stood, his sleeve sweeping to retrieve the devouring heavenly corpse. The devouring ancestral talisman transformed into a black beam, entering his crown. He then looked up at the massive bone pool in the sky, its thick red energy shrouded. Since Xianqing entered, Lin Dong lost all feeling of her presence. Were it not for the presence within the bone pool undergoing transformation, he might fear for her state. Senior, how long will Xianqing's inheritance take? A few years, perhaps. This vaguely defined timescale left Lin Dong with no choice but to shrug, unaware of when he might see Xianqing again. At that time, the world would have certainly changed. Senior, with all matters concluded, I will not linger long. I shall ensure the Nine-Tails clan does as you asked, Lin Dong said. Many thanks, the nine-tailed spirit fox replied with a smile. Lin Dong grinned, casting one last glance at the sky's bone pool before bowing solemnly to the nine-tailed spirit fox, stepping away without another word. Within moments, he disappeared into the spatial vortex. The nine-tailed spirit fox watched Lin Dong's disappearing silhouette with a sigh and a low murmur. In the spacious, empty space, her wavering echo lingered. May you obtain his inheritance, even though it is no easy feat. In the heart of Nine-Tails village, amidst the ruins, the altar was now surrounded by members of the Nine-Tailed clan. They sat in meditation amidst the vast silence, all eyes fixed on the crimson portal above the altar. Since Lin Dong and Xianqing entered, 8 days had gone by without rest for the Nine-Tails, hoping to witness the final revelation that would determine their clan's survival or demise, a message carrying the weight of their future. As days passed, a creeping sense of despair enveloped the area, eroding the vitality from many of the clan members, their spirits wilting. Closest to the altar, Aunt Xian knelt, her hands clasped, eyes weary but unwavering, showing no inclination to pause for rest. She was aware of the despair spreading like a plague, but had no power to stop it. She knew well that should Lin Dong and Xianqing fail to return, the Nine-Tailed clan's reason for existence might vanish, disappearing alongside their past glory. With this in her heart, a veil of sorrow clouded Aunt Xian's eyes. Yet, before this sorrow could solidify, her expression changed abruptly. She looked up, her gaze locked on the crimson portal, which, after 8 days of silence, started to vibrate. The wasteland buzzed with anticipation. Everyone lifted their heads, eyes tightly watching the portal. Bloodlight swirled within, and a young figure slowly stepped out, appearing in their sights. It's Lord Lin Dong. Standing on the altar, Lin Dong surveyed the sea of the Nine-Tailed clan, their gazes full of hopeful anticipation. Aunt Xian. Lin Dong addressed the woman in front of the altar. He smiled at her anxious look, and his voice carried through the air. Congratulations. The revival of the Nine-Tails is within reach. His words shattered the air of despair. But surprisingly, there was no immediate celebration. The tribal members held their breath, tears streaming down their faces, their pent-up anguish giving way to weeping. Lin Dong saw this and sighed inwardly. He knew that in these years, the Nine-Tails must have had a hard time. The fall of a once great clan weighed as a suffocating responsibility. He didn't say more. He sat down in front of the altar, gazing at the distant horizon. It took a while before Aunt Xian, her eyes red from crying, appeared before him. He smiled at her, recounting in detail what had transpired in the ancestral Soul Temple. Lord Lindong, you are a benefactor to the Nine Tails. If our clan can rise again, we will follow you to repay your great kindness. Aunt Xian fell to her knees, joined by the numerous Nine Tails behind her, their eyes filled with sincere gratitude. They knew that without Lindong, their last chance would have been lost, leaving them at the bottom of the demonic beast hierarchy, vulnerable and mistreated. Lindong could only smile wryly at this. Aunt Xian, as the elders have said, you should activate the formation as soon as possible. It's time for the Nine Tails to transform. Aunt Xian stood, wiping her tears, and nodded in resolve. To all our people, the village will go under urgent lockdown. Preparations for the formation must begin, she declared.
Yes.
The voices of the Nine Tails rose as one, vitality and confidence returning. Lindong watched the bustling village with a smile. By the time they met again, the Nine Tails would have restored much of their ancient glory. It would be challenging to catch up with the four overlord clans, but unshackled, they held boundless potential. A week of preparation was needed to set the Nine Tails formation. During this week, Lindong remained in the village, vigilant against unforeseen events. To his relief, no complications arose, and the formation was ready as scheduled. Standing beneath a colossal tree at the village's heart, Lindong watched the massive light array enveloping the entire mountain, feeling the ancient energy pulsing from it. Lord Lindong, the heavenly covering formation of the Nine Tails is ready. Ever since the incident at the Ancestral Spirit Hall, even Aunt Xian began addressing Lindong in more formal terms, which he found rather off-putting yet was resigned to. Around Aunt Xian were many young girls of the Nine Tails clan, all gazing at Lindong with large eyes radiating respect, a sentiment that was echoed further in the distance, where the Nine Tails clan, busy with stabilization work, occasionally glanced over, their eyes filled with gratitude and reverence. Since that's the case, I must now take my leave, Lindong said with a nod, flashing a grin at everyone. His finger then pointed into the distance, to the land where dust and earth loomed, a black tide. His tiger-devouring army, rolling toward them with a storm of rage. That's Little Yan's tiger-devouring army, murmurs arose, eyes brimming with reluctance. Ladies and gentlemen, when you re-emerge in this world, all of Demon Realm shall tremble at your presence. When that day comes, you won't be weak. The glory of the primeval era will be renewed by you. I look forward to our reunion. Lindong called out as he stepped onto a treetop, bowed his head to the entire Nine Tails clan, and then burst out in laughter. With a leap, he became a bolt of light streaking away from the village gates. A reverent farewell, sir. In his wake, numerous members of the Nine Tails clan bowed under Aunt Xian's lead, voices of respect echoing after Lindong as he fled, lingering over the mountainside. Once the village reappears in the future, it will bear witness to Lindong's prophecy of shaking up Demon Realm. Lindong waited outside the Nine Tails village, eyes flicking over the distant ground that shivered with seismic activity. The black tide approached, cloaked in a maelstrom of bloodlust, ferocious as an ancient beast laid bare. In a matter of moments, the black tide stood in front of Lindong, halting. A towering figure dropped from the sky, landing before Lindong like a mountain, the impact sending tremors through the earth. Big brother, Little Yan's rugged face moved into a grin as he looked at Lindong. Lindong smiled, but didn't say much, instead saying, "Let's move out." Little Yan nodded, eyes flickering back to the village to find the space around it distorting and, in a surreal manner, slowly vanishing. Confusion swept across his face as he looked closer, eyes showing astonishment as the area truly became vacant, without even the faintest hint of energy. "Let's go. The Nine Tails village will be disappearing for a while. Although," Lindong said, stepping out as he looked up towards the sky and laughed, "when it reappears, the entire Demon Realm will surely be shocked." Little Yin thought for a while, falling into step behind Lindong. He stopped abruptly in front of the tiger-devouring army, eyes sweeping over the troops before him. A fierce glint flashed through his gaze as he lowered his voice. "This is my big brother, Lindong. Your lives belong to me. My life belongs to Big Brother." So from now on you owe your life to him." The words were blunt yet eloquent. In the demonic beast domain, they cut through the intricacies of human language. In a sense, compared to humans, demonic beasts did not give loyalty easily. Once given, it was an all-consuming commitment. Each member of the tiger-devouring army had, in past times, been subjected to the lowest strata of society. They had no control over their own fates, had lost all dignity, leading a mechanical existence until Little Yin pulled them out and transformed them with the power of the inheritance blood. It was this that allowed them to shed their former selves, to become the tiger-devouring army and to be granted a second life. To them, Little Yin was their king, the one who had full command over their lives. They said, yes. And when they heard Little Yan's words, there was no murmuring, no hesitation from the tiger-devouring army. They responded as a single entity, their answer low and rumbling. "Stopping there was rather needless of you," Lin Dong rebuked, feeling helpless at his brother's dramatic gesture, before leaping onto a dark giant beast. Little Yin grinned crookedly, following Lin Dong's lead. "Let's ride on." With a roar, the tiger-devouring army transformed back into a black tide, thundering further away, causing the region to grow silent and empty in their wake. "Big brother, the assembly at the foot of Thunder Abyss Mountain is tomorrow. Most affairs have been set in order. The other 5 generals have agreed to join us in action," Little Yin said, seated beside Lin Dong as they rode the beast in the direction of the army. Then, with a wild expression, he roared, "Finally, we can make our move against that guy. For this, I've endured for a year. Patience is never a wrong thing to have. Of course, I haven't reached your level, big brother." Lin Dong smiled faintly, reminiscing about the days when he, a tiger, and a marten roamed far and wide. Who would have thought, back then, that things would turn out like this a few years later? "What's the overall strength of Thunder Abyss Mountain?" Lin Dong's brief recollection ended as he brought his thoughts back to the present. What they were about to attempt was no small feat after all. Su Zhong was the demon commander of Thunder Abyss Mountain, with deep-rooted power. Yes, he's Su Zhong's real confidant. But he doesn't oversee the mountain's affairs, and even the 9 generals rarely see him. When I first arrived at Thunder Abyss Mountain a year ago, I saw this Shadow Guard defeat a Death Mystique stage expert with a single blow. Lin Dong narrowed his eyes. It seemed Thunder Abyss Mountain was indeed formidable. That's what I was most worried about. But now that you're here, big brother, we don't have to concern ourselves with the Shadow Guard. Lin Dong nodded slightly. If Su Zhong truly entered the revolution stage, his difficulty level would increase exponentially. "We'll see how it all unfolds tomorrow," Lin Dong said. "Right, big brother. Let's head near Thunder Abyss Mountain now. We'll rendezvous with the 5 generals there." Lin Dong nodded and looked off into the distance. Half a day later, the roaring army began to slow. Ahead lay a sprawling camp, with a cacophony of noises rising from within. In the far distance, Lin Dong could make out the outline of a massive, seemingly endless mountain. A wave of ominous energy radiated from it. The camp was filled with numerous troops, and as the fierce tiger-devouring army approached with an aura of killing intent, the encampment grew silent. Startled glances were cast their way, and for a moment, the entire camp fell into an uneasy quiet. Navigating through the woods, they slowed their pace after a few minutes. "Haha." Lin Fong raised his gaze and saw 5 figures standing around the bonfire. Each towering and robust figure boasted arms covered in crisscrossing scars, with eyes that gleamed with a menacing light, their presence exuding an overpowering aura. Clearly, these were no ordinary adversaries. Little Yin glanced at the 5 figures and then shifted slightly, pointing towards Lin Fong. "This is my older brother, Lin Fong." As his words fell, Lin Fong sensed the 5 generals' expressions momentarily freeze, followed by a bewildered look. One of them broke into a grin, cracking a joke. "General Yin, don't tell me this minor completion of the Death Mystique stage human kid is the so-called powerhouse you've been talking about? General Yin, you must be aware of the dangers awaiting us tomorrow. This isn't something to be taken lightly." Another man with a steel-like black tail wrapped around his waist frowned and spoke solemnly. "Can he remove the Abyssal Ghost talisman from our bodies?" I have my doubts. A man covered in deep yellow scales glanced at Lin Feng, his temperament seemingly rather irritable. He abruptly stood up, annoyed. You think we would follow you to our doom? I refuse to partake in tomorrow's plan. As he turned to leave, a slender figure appeared before him. He saw the young human in front of him smile, and suddenly, a brilliant emerald light accompanied by a dragon's roar echoed throughout the mountain cliffs. You! The emerald light magnified in the man's eyes, causing his face to flash with a menacing light. Stomping the ground forcefully, the earth cracked and deep yellow primordial energy rapidly transformed into layers of turtle shell armor in front of him, adorned with peculiar patterns, exuding an invincible solidity. As the turtle shell formed, a fist wrapped in emerald light rushed towards him. Bang! The low rumbling sound reverberated, and the four figures beside him saw the turtle shield, capable of defending against a semi-perfect death mystique stage powerhouse, shatter instantly. As the shield shattered, the slender fist penetrated through and landed heavily on the man's chest. Visible waves of force radiated outward, launching the figure backward like a cannonball, skidding hundreds of meters across the ground before slamming into a mountain wall. Debris scattered everywhere, leaving the scene in disarray. The young man beside the bonfire finally smiled, looking up at the four stunned generals.